Okay, right. It looks like the numbers are kind of, oh no, they've just jumped up again. Let's get going and people can join as I'm doing a bit of an introduction. So a huge welcome to Career Spotlight session 3 on this step into the NHS day. My name is Abby. I'm from the NHS Health Careers team and really pleased that you have been able to join us. Maybe this is the first session you've been able to join of the day, or maybe you've been able to join some of the other ones. Whichever that is, we're just really pleased you're here and we hope that you find it inspiring, interesting, exciting, and that it gives you lots of good ideas for your step into the NHS competition entries. So we're really pleased that we have Jess and Jack joining us for this last session of the day. Before we meet them, we just need to do a little bit of housekeeping. So you will see that you are on mute and that your cameras are off, but the chat is very much open and we will be asking you to make sure you put questions and things in there as we go along. Also, please feel free to use Teams reactions. We want to know how we're doing, whether you're enjoying the session, so feel free to use those. And what else was I going to say? If you're having problems with sound, obviously make sure your speakers are turned up. But if that doesn't work, you could leave and rejoin the Teams call. That sometimes sorts out any sound issues. But I think that's everything covered from a housekeeping point of view. So this session that we've got for you now is going to be fun. We are going to play a game called Two Truths, One Myth. So you're going to be meeting Jess and Jack shortly, and they're going to give you 3 statements. They're going to say 3 things about their job. 2 of them are true, 1 of them is a myth, and we want you to guess which one is a myth, so which one is not true, okay? Hopefully you've got worksheets or you've got a pen, paper, notebook in front of you, and you can write down your favorite truth. You can write down what the myth that you learned was. You can write down your questions for Jess and Jack, and you might pick one of these jobs to use in your competition entry, who knows. So hopefully it's going to be fun and it's going to give you all a little bit more work to do just before the end of the day. Please think of your questions for Jess and Jack as well, and teachers, if you can be ready to type those into the chat, that would be great. So you can discuss with the person next to you which one you think is the myth as we go along. So let's meet Jess. Hi, Jess.
Hi, everyone. Hiya.
Okay, so Jess, could you just introduce yourself in terms of your name and what you do?
Yep. So my name's Jess, and I'm a physiotherapy apprentice, as well as a physio assistant. And I work at Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is a children's hospital, or anyone from the ages, well, from when you're born all the way up to 18.
Wow, okay, so a big age range there. Great stuff. Okay, so Jess, let's get going with the statements about your job. So let's hear statement number 1. And pupils, you all need to be thinking, do you think this is a truth or a myth?
So statement number 1 is a children's physiotherapy assistant helps children improve their physical ability through fun, exercises, and activities.
What do you reckon, everyone? Do you think that sounds true, or could that be a myth? Let's hear your second statement, please, Jess.
Yep. So number 2, a children's physiotherapist needs to be physically fit and strong, with good communication skills.
Okay, so do you think that Jess needs to have strong communication skills in her job? Truth or myth? Lots of people thinking that's true, but we will find out soon, won't we? Okay, so let's have your third statement, please, Jess.
And then the last one is physios only work in hospitals.
Okay, what is everyone thinking then? So I think we can see, have we got all of these on one slide? I can't remember. Yes, there we go. So we've got all 3 statements so that to help you remember. So, do you reckon that number 1 is the myth, number 2 is the myth, or number 3 is the myth? So, Natalie reckons number 3 is the myth. Lara also reckons number 3 is the myth. What? Oh, these are coming in so quickly, it's really hard to keep up. Someone reckons number 2 might be the myth. Clara thinks perhaps number 1. Lots and lots of people saying that number 3 is the myth. So this has got you all thinking. A few people saying number 2 again. William says definitely 3, definitely 3. Yeah, 3. Emily says 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Alexander says 3 is the myth. Okay, so let's find out from Jess.
So the myth
Drum roll.
the myth is number 3, which is I only work in hospitals, and that's not quite true. So
sorry.
Go
for it, Jess.
So I'll explain why it's not true. So loads of physiotherapists might work in hospital. However, some might actually see patients or any of you guys at home. So if you guys don't want to come to the hospital or you're not in hospital, we might come to your home or even schools to do some physio.
Brilliant, thank you. So we've got questions coming in for you already, Jess. Well done to all of you that guessed the correct myth there. Hope you enjoyed doing that. So I think we're going to get straight stuck in with some of the questions that are coming through. Jess, actually no we're not, because we've got a
question to ask. As a patient, what can I do to make your working lives easier and better support to the NHS?
Did you catch that, Jess? Oh, it's on. If you can see the slide, it's on there. So this is a question from Hania from a school in Newcastle, and a great pre-recorded question. As a patient, what can I do to make your working life easier and better support the NHS?
Oh, how can a patient make my working life easier? I think that the more I get to know you, so including what you like, what you don't like, makes it better for me to work with you, because then I can work around things that you enjoy and make it better for you when I think about how to treat you, how to talk to you, and include all the things that you enjoy.
Oh, what a lovely answer. And thank you, Hania, if you're watching, for that question. That was great. Okay, so Jess, Atika wants to know, how many patients do you see a day?
I see roughly around 20 children a day. And that's because we do a group session. So almost like at school, instead of going to school, a group of children or a group of teenagers or young adults come to my group and we all do similar exercises together. So around 20.
Okay, that's so probably not as big as a classroom, but not that far off. Okay, right. Great question from Lara. Out of 350 jobs, why did you choose this one?
Well, I'll be honest, I originally wanted to be a midwife, so that's someone that helps people deliver children. And then I realised when I went to college and to start to decide what job I wanted to do, I really loved sport and I really loved helping people exercise and help people find out what exercise they enjoy and help maybe improve their walking, their pain. And then so I discovered on NHS, the website, about physios, and I didn't even know what physios was about. And then the more I read about it, the more I enjoyed finding out about it, and actually I felt like I could do physio as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so it doesn't matter if your first idea ends up, you end up doing something different, does it? It's good to think about other things. Right, we have had a few people asking. So Simon has, and Forest View Primary, what's the hardest part of your job?
I would say the hardest part about my job is when I find it difficult to help a child because they find it difficult to talk to me, because not everyone's brain's the same and not everyone thinks the same and not everyone understands what I'm telling them to do the same. So sometimes I find it difficult to communicate with, I guess, my student to help them do their physio, but only time can help that, and making them feel comfortable with me helps that.
Okay, great. So really using your people skills as well, by the sounds of it, as well as your knowledge. Okay, so let me just find some more questions here. So Nathan wants to know, how do you deal with your emotions when you do this job?
Oh, that's a great question. How do I do it by taking care of myself. So after work, I enjoy doing sports as well. So that's a great way to look after my thoughts and feelings. And having time with friends and family is really important because you've got to surround yourself by, by talking to people and having fun with people and laughing with your friends and family.
Brilliant. And following on from that, Jess, Mrs. Dillon has asked what sport you play.
I play football. Woo!
Shout out to all the footballers out there. Okay, right. I saw one about the sort of where's it gone? Sorry, everyone. Let me just find this. Where's it gone? Oh, okay, this is a good one. This is, what skills do you need for your job? I know you've talked about this a little bit, but what would you say are the top skills?
I would say the number one skill is to be open in every aspect because, as I guess, especially a physio apprentice or even a qualified physio, always being open to learning new things is really important because everyone has different experiences and different knowledge that they can teach you and help you understand better and be a better physio. The next one would be to put yourself in the patient's position or patient's shoes. So try to imagine what they would feel like in their situation. And I'd say another big one is how to communicate and how to be nice to each other. It's really important.
Very important in yes, in everywhere. Okay, so this is an interesting one from Brittany. So they have asked, have you ever given the wrong information to a patient before? But let me broaden that out. So have you ever made a mistake at work before? And what happens when that you've done that?
Yes, I have made a mistake before. By, I guess, saying one piece of advice. And however, when I talked to my, I guess, essentially my teacher, so my supervisor, that we then talked about it and talk about what potentially could happen or what can make it better. So then I had to rectify that or correct that by going back to the patient and apologizing and talking about actually maybe this is the better option and just apologizing for my mistake. However, I would like to help this situation by doing the right thing after reflecting on it.
Yeah, so being honest and yeah, seeing what might be done differently. Great, thank you. Right, last question, Jess, because we've run out of time. This is from Althurkan Primary School, and they've asked how many breaks do you get, and could you just say as well what your working day, your working hours are as part of that?
So I start work at 8:30, and then my first group class is at 9 o'clock, and that runs until 10:30. And then at around 10:30, me and my physio friends go back up to the office, and we have a little cup of tea or coffee break until we start working again, because that's really important. And then around 12 o'clock, we have lunch for half an hour, and then we restart our class at 1:30, and that's another hour doing exercises. And then 2:30 finishes. I've got more admin, and maybe I see people on the ward in the hospital. And then at 4:30, I finish.
Great. Thank you very much, Jess. Thank you to the pupils for all your brilliant questions. And I'm sorry we didn't get through them all, but hope you've been writing things down on your worksheets or your notepads. And Jess, thank you so much for joining us and playing Two Truths, One Myth. Okay, so let's meet our next guest. We are going to be joined by Jack. Welcome,
Hello,
Jack.
everyone. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Brilliant. So, Jack, could you just introduce yourselves and let us know what you do, please?
Yes, thank you, Abigail. So I'm Jack Welch, and I am the library assistant at Dorset County Hospital, which is based in Dorchester. So I'm very near the coast.
Any schools in from Dorset, I wonder? I'm sure there probably will be. Okay, so bit of a different job here, and one that you might, oh, Kelly has said we love books. Oh, and there's someone from Bournemouth, so not too far away. Okay, so Jack, let's play two truths, one myth again. So same thing, pupils, listen out. Which one do you think is the myth? So Jack, if you could give us the first statement about your job, please.
Yes, thank you very much. So the first statement is I help NHS staff find books and other resources.
Okay, what do you reckon, everyone? Have a chat to the person next to you, maybe. Let's hear statement number 2.
The next one is I need strong organizational skills to manage different questions from library users.
Okay, do you reckon Jack gets questions from people who are wanting to find out things in the library? Lots of people having a think about that. Lots of people think that's probably a truth. Let's hear your final statement, please, Jack.
Lastly, I spend most of my time reading books.
Okay, so we have heard all of Jack's statements. Let's see them all together. Do you reckon that statement number 1 is the myth? Or perhaps you think it's number 2 is the myth? Or do you think it's number 3 that's the myth? So many people reckon it's number 3. Yeah, there are most of the people. Linden Academy, they say number 3. A couple of people saying maybe number 2. Someone saying number 1, but I think it's an overwhelming vote from all of you. Stokesley Year 5 reckon that you don't have time to read because you're helping others. So let's hear, Jack, can you give us the big reveal?
Yes.
Which one is the myth?
I think most of you are correct, and I don't spend most of my time reading books. I'm generally much busy with other things in my working day.
Would you quite like to be spending most of your time reading books, though, Jack?
Oh yes, yeah, well, that would be lovely. Probably not the sorts of books we tend to issue in our library, though. So our library is quite different to what you'd find in a school library or a public library. But I do enjoy reading a lot of fiction, and whenever I get time at home in the evening or on the weekend, I like to spend my time relaxing reading.
Nice. Okay, so well done all of you that got that right. Alexander saying that was harder than the last time, he reckons, so that your 2 truths, 1 myth was a bit more tricky. So please keep your questions coming in, everybody, so that we can find out more from Jack about what he does. So Jack, I am just going to ask you a question, if that's okay. What's your favourite part about working in a library?
Oh gosh, I think for me it's no days ever, no 2 days are ever the same in the library. So it is a very different role to others in the NHS. I think a lot of people don't know that a lot of NHS hospitals have library services, and a lot of my role as a library assistant is about problem solving. So I get a lot of inquiries or questions from our users, which are staff that work in the hospital. So people like Jess would be a member of the library service, but also doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, paramedics. And, we get a lot of inquiries about ordering books, finding articles. And when I say articles, I mean stuff about supporting and treating patients. So not articles you find on news websites. So they're quite different in that sense. And some of them can be quite challenging. You do have to think on your feet quite a lot of the time, I find. But it does give a real sense of satisfaction and joy when I do find the right answer for those people.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that must be very satisfying. So Yusra wants to know, what type of books do you look for in the NHS? What sort of books are there?
Yes, in our case, for an NHS library, a lot of our books will be for those staff that work in our organisation. So we have a lot of books around surgery, for example, about different illnesses, so say cancer, diabetes, different problems that happen to people when you go to a hospital. We have books around mental health. And we also have books for well-being as well. So we have a lot of books aimed for staff to help, to support their well-being and make sure that they are happy in the workplace and that they don't have any issues when they, sometimes get overwhelmed with lots of the work that does happen. So we're a space for calm as well, so for people to study and to read our books. So there's quite a lot of that. We do have a bit of fiction, I would say, but it's not as much as you might find in a school library. So these books are often very grown up. They're not easy to read, I would say, and they're often quite expensive as well. So we order them from special places, from those, organised those companies. So we don't have as many books maybe as we did in the past because a lot of our resources are online nowadays.
Right. Okay, so yes, things are changing a bit. Great. So Kelly would like to know, how did you get into this role? Great question.
So how did I get into the role?
Mm.
Yeah, so in my case, I applied as an apprentice within this organisation, and I joined back in 2021. So I came as an apprentice as in a specific qualification, which was for library assistant, information and archive services. So that took me around 18 months to complete. So I qualified a couple of years ago now, nearly, and became a permanent library assistant since. And so I've been here nearly 4 years now. So I was very lucky to be selected as the person to be the apprentice at the time. And I'm hoping in the near future to become a librarian as well. So so hopefully, I'll be continuing to progress in my career. So when you do work in library services, there's a lot of options I think you can do.
Brilliant, thank you. And you've answered another question actually that was in the chat, which is about how long you've been working in the NHS. So thank you for doing that. You picked up on that one as well. Okay, so I'm going to have to ask you this question, Jack, because a lot of people want to know what your favourite book is. So if it's suitable to say, do you have a favourite book that springs to mind?
Oh gosh, yes. I think it's quite hard for me to say there's one favourite book. I read quite a lot, and certainly where I can. But I enjoy some classic fiction from time to time. So I've read a few Charles Dickens novels and can certainly recommend novels like Great Expectations, for example. So so if anyone's interested, please do add that to your reading list.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, this is a great question here from Michaela. Why did you become an NHS librarian rather than another type of librarian?
Yes, I think there's nothing against other librarians in other places. It's just as worthwhile becoming a librarian in a public library, within a school library and university library. So the NHS is very different in the sense that this role compared to others across our organisation, you feel it's perhaps less stressful, a bit calmer in this respect. So yeah, so I think there's plenty of reasons I think you would join as a librarian here, but I think it's the team as well. It's important working as a team, and it's a great pleasure working with my colleagues. So that in terms of working together.
Great, thank you so much, Jack. And you've talked about teams as well, and we've heard that a lot today from a lot of the guests about the importance of teamwork. Brilliant. Once again, lots of great questions, everyone. So thank you so much, and apologies we didn't get around to all of them. Jack, thank you so much for joining us and for playing your Two Truths, One Myth. And yes, thank you for giving up some time to be here on this session today. Okay, everyone, we have just a few more minutes before this session ends, and we want to talk a little bit again about the competition. So if you were on the session first thing this morning, you'd have heard all about it. You've got lots of ways of finding out the information that you need in the various links we put in the chat and things like that. But a reminder that there are brilliant prizes up for grabs. You could see your entry displayed in your local area on a digivan, and you can see a photo there of last year's national winner being driven round their local area. You'll also get to meet our NHS judges at the Winners' Day in June, if you're a regional winner. So that would be something to look forward to as well. And we want you to be really creative. This competition allows you to really get creative and to think outside the box. So we have just got some more information coming up in a minute on what we're looking for. So just a reminder, we are wanting you to show up to 3 NHS job roles of your choice. So you don't have to do 3, you could just do 1 or 2, but no more than 3. We want to know what you know about that role, what you've learned about it, and we want you to do that in an eye-catching and creative way. So as I said earlier, it could be a poster, it could be a poem, a song, a drawing. Think about careers people may not have heard of. So you've heard some of the more unusual ones today, as well as some of the more common ones, but we always love it when we have a range of roles that we can look at in the competition entries. Okay. So we're just going to show you, just to finish off, some of the previous winning entries, just to give you some ideas. Okay, so let's look at some of them from previous years. So this was the national winner from last year. So just, you know, there's information on there as well as it looking great. And that came from a school in the Northwest. And then we have got another one here. So this was the regional winner from the East Midlands. So you can see there that it's really interesting to look at. You can tell there's bits of information, and again, it's very visual and eye-catching. Clara Gilbert has spotted her school there, which is great. And then I think we've got another one. Yes, so this was the regional winner from London. So again, lots of things to look at, lots of different types of people seen in this image here, and it's nice and colourful. So really start to think about how you make something look very appealing and interesting, as well as showing us what you've learned about those jobs as well. Okay, so I think we are nearly there. So thank you so much for joining us today. Whether you've joined one session or all 4 sessions, we really hope that you have had a great day and that you've learned lots, that you feel inspired to look into roles in the NHS, and also to think about your competition entry if you haven't started it already. So what have you learned today from our NHS speakers? You can head to the Step Into the NHS website, find lots of information on there. You can take our careers quiz on there, read about NHS staff stories. Teachers, you can find lots more resources as well on the Step Into the NHS competition. And there are links and things going into the chat as well. Please contact us if you've got questions about careers or about the competition. The details are on the slide and going into the chat. Remember that you have until the 30th of April to enter. So send your entries to your teachers. Teachers, a reminder that you can submit online on the website or by post. And we cannot wait to see what you're going to send us. So please surprise us, give us some interesting things to look at, and good luck to all of you. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.